Oh, g'day, I'm Stu Mac. This is my second little brief video talking about change. Today I want to reflect on pre-contemplation, that the very first stage of change. When people come to see me, I'm an accredited exercise physiologist and a change fitness coach, and I do a bit of ontological coaching here and there. When people come to see me professionally, they want to create change in their life. But the problem is that often people come to see me because their doctor told them they should. The GP or maybe their family has said, you need to see someone, you need to go get help. And they come and see me and they don't even think they need to change, right? That's the hardest kind of change to affect in someone, is the person who doesn't even see the need to change. So how do we help someone in that situation? Those people are in what we call the pre-contemplation stage of change. They don't even see the need. They don't even realize that there is a need to change. Usually there are some really good reasons for this, right? There's usually really good reasons for a person being pre-contemplation. Firstly, maybe it's just never occurred to them that something could change. That's just the way things have always been, and that's the way things always need to be. So perhaps the marriage has just always been that way. Perhaps their parents always acted that way, and so it makes sense that they would always talk and behave in that way. That's just how you speak to someone. Or that's just how you butter your bread. That's just how you play basketball. That's just what you do. There's no need to change. So for some people, they've just never seen that there could be the possibility of change. Now, there are other reasons as well, right? But what I want to target today are those people who have tried to change in the past, but they found it too difficult. Now, almost every client who's come to see me has tried to change in the past. Often they try to change their motivation levels. They want to get more active, do more exercise. They want to lose body weight. They want to increase their motivation. They have ways that they want to change themselves. And they've done many things to change. Now, it might not be the same for you. And I know for me that there are many things I've tried to change in the past and really struggled with. Many habits. For years, ever since I was in primary school, I wanted to have a regular habit of running. And I would try and stop. I'd try and fail and try and fail. I'd last a couple of weeks at the most, and then I would just stop. Now, it's not because I didn't like physical exercise. I've trained martial arts. I used to do track and field athletics. I played hockey. I've done so many different kind of sports throughout my space, and I found that I wasn't a big fan of team sports, and I gravitated toward individual sports. And the martial arts, gymnastics, body-based kind of fun stuff really appealed to me. But I also value fitness and health, and I wanted to be able to run away from people. I wanted to be able to catch a bus without getting exhausted. And for me, that was a thing that I just kept failing at. And it wasn't until recent years, really the last 10 years, that I've picked up a habit where I can go for a walk every day, where I can train. Now, what led me to that habit was a discrepancy between what I was and what I could be. Of all things, it was me getting chronic fatigue syndrome that led me to realize I needed to change my beliefs. Up until that point, I'd never realized I needed to change my beliefs, my attitude to exercise and behavior, even though I was an exercise professional. You see, change occurs at one level because of a contrast between what is and what could be. We see what our life is, and we see what we would like our life to be. When that gap is big enough and what we want our life to be is a strong enough drive, then we start to see the need to change. But until that gap and until the drive to have what could be, until we realize them and see them, then perhaps we don't get that discomfort. Because all change comes from a sense of kind of a discomfort, right? It's not necessarily a discomfort, but that's kind of the best word I've got for it. It's an internal friction. And when we have that kind of friction, when we see that things the way they are isn't the way we would like them to be, then we can start asking the question, well, what's missing? What's missing that if we had it, this discrepancy would cease to exist? We start to reach for the possibility of change. But you see, we can't reach for the possibility of change if we aren't first in the pre-contemplation stage, because pre-contemplation means I see no need to change, and seeking out the possibility to change means I have something to contrast with where I am now. Without pre-contemplation, change doesn't occur. So pre-contemplation, not thinking about change, not thinking that you need to change or choosing not to change, is an important part of choosing to change, because we have something to contrast our future with. Because why would we change if we didn't see a vision of the future that we could have? Why if I didn't see a future that was different to the one and want that future, I wouldn't reach for it. We'd never change. So this discrepancy between what is and what could be is what drives the change process. That's what moves us from pre-contemplation into the next stage. Pre-contemplation, it's a necessary part of change. So I invite you now, finally, just as you listen to your own stories and to other people's stories, to consider that when people don't see change as necessary, when they're in pre-contemplation, that there's a very good reason for it. And I suggest that it's not our job, your job, my job, to yank someone out of pre-contemplation, but it's our job to sit with them in it and reflect on their story as it is now, so that they can see with honest eyes other perspectives on who and how they can be and they are being in this moment. And ask the question then, can I create a new way of being in the future? By listening to their story, we can begin to understand it and to reflect on that story as it is now. We can understand that they may have different things that they are ready to change, right? They might not want to change that area of their life, but they might want to change this area, and we can help them change that area, which can give them the courage to apply those principles to other areas of change. Basically, when we sit and listen to people and hear what stories they want to tell differently, we help them to change in areas that are meaningful for them. Meaningful for them today. I suppose that's an important point. And then we create a space where they can say, hey, it's possible to change. Maybe I can change. And once that thought of maybe I can change occurs, people start to shift from pre-contemplation into the next stage, which is contemplation. More about that in the next video. If you like the video, please click subscribe, like, and I've got more coming, and hopefully you can join in the conversation around change and thriving. This is me, signing off.